The city of Houston lost the very best, the very best.
A Houston police officer shot and killed in the line of duty while serving a warrant. Another officer injured.
Thank God we got him here early and quickly.
A city and a department mourning the fallen policeman.
31 years of service, just a few days short of that. Most of us know him personally. I've known him my entire career. He's a great man and a great family man.
And my dad always thought he was Superman. He wanted nothing more than to keep the city safe.
It's a very sad day for the city of Houston. Just want to first ask for prayers for our city, for our department, and most importantly, these families.
This is the 411. I'm Jason Bristol.
And I'm Rekha Mutaraj. We begin with a tragedy for Houston. The Houston Police Department sharing more about slain senior officer William Bill Jeffrey. The department released this photo of him. He had been with the force since 1990. Houston Police Chief Troy Finner saying he left a legacy with HPD that will never be forgotten. The department has not released a photo of injured Sergeant Michael Vance because he works in undercover operations. We have live team coverage today with our reporters covering all angles of this story.
What we know about the shooting, the officers involved, and of course the suspect. And we are starting in Northeast Harris County at the apartment complex where this all began.
Our David Gonzalez is there live now. David.
Hey guys, this investigation is centered here at the Timber Ridge Apartments where that shooting took place this morning, and almost 9 hours after that shooting took place. Just take a look at the scene behind me. Harris County's investigators are still flooding this area as they try to piece together what exactly happened earlier today, but we do know that 2 officers were shot serving a narcotics-related arrest warrant on 30-year-old Dion Ledette. I want you guys to take a look at this video from earlier today. Police say officers knocked on the door of Ledette's home and a woman answered. That's when Ledette opened fire. Police say Ledette died here at the scene. Officer William Jeffrey and Sergeant Michael Vance were taken to Memorial Hermann. Sadly, as we've mentioned, Officer Jeffrey, a 30-year veteran of the force, died from his injuries. People who live in this community are relieved that no one else was hurt since the shooting happened as kids were heading to school.
These kids is used to gunfire around here because that's all they know around here is gunfire. There's always something happening over here. Not just here, just in this area, all over really. They watch TV, so they know what's going on, but I just can't even imagine being right next door or right in front of the building and something like that happening.
Sergeant Michael Vance is out of surgery and is expected to survive. The Harris County Sheriff's Office is leading this investigation. And one thing we want to point out back out here live is even though you see on camera right now, you do see the Sheriff's Harris investigators, we also want to point out that Ledette's family has been here on scene as well. And they are just thankful that no one else was hurt. They do say that inside the home during that time of the shooting was also Ledette's girlfriend and another child. And luckily they made it out okay. Back to you.
Yeah, could have been even worse. David, thank you. And new at 4, the daughter of Officer Jeffrey is sharing her memories of her father.
She spoke with our Aniele Ruiz, who now joins us live. Aniele?
Well, that's right, guys. We spoke with her briefly, and as you can imagine, her and her family are entirely just devastated, and so are the officers that we've spoken with. But they've all shared very beautiful memories of the fallen officer. Take a look at the picture. This picture was released by the Houston Police Department. This is William Jeffrey, or he was known as Bill. He was a 30-year veteran of the department, and we spoke with his daughter today, and she said her dad loved his job. He loved protecting his city, but she said he was also a big family man, and his family always came first. She tells me they called him Grandpa Bill, and she's devastated her daughter won't be able to have her Grandpa Bill by her side.
I just want everyone to know that he was an amazing man that would have done anything for this city, and that this city lost their absolute best police officer today.
And that's the message that we keep hearing from all the officers out here, that Bill was just a great guy who loved his family and loved his job. We also spoke to one of his former partners, and he tells us that Bill was also a very dedicated man. He was always the first person to arrive at work and the last person to leave. We'll share some more from her daughter and from his partner coming up at 5 and 6. Live, Aniele Ruiz, KHOU 11 News.
And we appreciate her sharing that with our viewers. Thank you, Annie Elliott.
After the shooting in Northeast Harris County, both officers were taken to the Texas Medical Center, and our live team coverage continues outside Memorial Hermann with Jason Miles. And Jason, Sergeant Michael Vance, he is still there, but the chief says he will recover.
That's right, and that's some good news out of all that's happened today. Chief Finner and others asking for the city to pray for Sergeant Vance's full recovery and for the family of fallen officer Bill Jeffrey. As we saw here earlier, Jeffrey's body was transported from Memorial Hermann to the Institute of Forensic Sciences, the ME's office, escorted by a host of fellow officers and the honor guards of both HPD and the Harris County Sheriff's Office. As we've heard, his widow, a recently retired officer herself, said the city lost, quote, the very best. One of the most somber moments here today was when HPD's command staff, officers, and others bowed their heads in prayer outside the hospital. That was just before Mayor Turner announced Officer Jeffrey's death. He was 54 years old.
This has been a tragic day today. It is another reminder that police work is inherently dangerous. And you never know, police officers never know what they're going to face when they leave their homes during the course of their duty.
And we also have some video of Sergeant Vance arriving to the hospital via medical helicopter this morning. He's 49 years old, has been with HPD since 1998. Both he and Officer Jeffrey worked in the Major Offenders Division for many years. In fact, I read an old newspaper article chronicling one of the operations that Officer Jeffrey was involved in about 15 or 16 years ago. He talked about in that article just about how dangerous this job can be. Indeed. Back to you.
Jason Miles, thank you so much. Let's take a live look now from the Houston Police Officers Memorial. This is in Buffalo Bayou Park. We've seen people gather here before after a line of duty death.
And now it's what we know about this suspect. He was a career criminal with a rap sheet going back to when he was a teenager.
Investigative reporter Jeremy Rogalski has more on the alleged cop killer, Dion Ledette. Jeremy.
Well, Reka and Jason, in court documents, prosecutors argued that the 30-year-old Ledette should be kept off the streets for 2 recent drug cases, but a judge gave him bond anyway, and he was released.
18 arrests since 2008. That was the adult life of Dion Ledette. Charges including burglary, evading arrest, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and most recently, 2 drug cases last November. In those, court records show, prosecutors asked for a hearing to deny bail because Ledette, they argued, was an habitual offender. But instead, Judge Greg Glass granted bond on those cases. He was required to get a GPS ankle monitor, but records show he never showed up. A warrant was later issued for bond violations, and Dion Ledette had been a fugitive ever since, until HPD knocked on his door today.
And we reached out to Judge Glass to find out why he ruled against prosecutors who had argued for no bond. His court coordinator sent us an email saying His Honor has no comment. Back to you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Chief Finner sharing his perspective on the mental resilience his officers have to face during and after shootings like this one.
Here's what he said this morning after calling for prayers for the families of Officer William Jeffrey and Sergeant Michael Vance.
First responders, we can't shut it down. It's not an assembly line. We got to keep it moving. And that's what we intend to do. We're going to uphold the family, number one, and we're going to uphold our city and do whatever we can in support, in cooperation with our citizens, to crush violent crime.
Sad day for Officer Jeffrey's family, the city of Houston, and of course HPD, but we will continue to follow this story throughout our newscast and the rest of the afternoon. And you can also get updates anytime on KHOU.com and the KHOU 11 mobile app.